Hello, and welcome back to our global event, Rocking Life at Any Age. I'm Natalie Matyshenko.
And I'm Deborah Poneman, and our guest speakers are joining us from around the world, from all walks of life, from diverse areas of expertise, and all with the desire to help you claim your power and to ignite your passions and your zest and have a deeper understanding of this great adventure that we call life at any age.
And we're thrilled to welcome today to our Rockin' Your Life platform, spiritual visionary and best-selling author, Derek Rydall, who will be sharing with us today on the topic of the never-ending, ever-expanding you. Welcome, Derek.
It's great to be here. It's a real honor and pleasure.
And before we get going on our questions, I'm going to go ahead and read your bio, which I have over here. Here we go. Part of a new generation of spiritual visionaries and thought leaders, Derek Rydall is the #1 best-selling author of Emergence, 7 Steps for Radical Life Change, which reveals the revolutionary principle, the law of emergence, showing people how to tap into the pattern of perfection in any area of their life and create the right conditions for it to unfold. And also, The Abundance Project, 40 days to more wealth, health, love, and happiness, where he lays out a time-tested system for activating the abundance principle, which sets you free from the belief that outer conditions determine your life and shows you how to generate everything you need no matter what conditions you face. Derek's diverse background includes training top executives at Fortune 500 companies, including American Express and the Walt Disney Company and many more, and also in empowered leadership and communications. And he also has coached celebrities, I know that, and media professionals, including Oscar and Emmy winners, on creating conscious entertainment. As a contributor to top blogs, a frequent podcast guest, and the host of his own top-rated Emergence podcast, he shares cutting-edge spiritual principles and success strategies to help you achieve financial freedom, master productivity and creativity, and live your greatest life's work at the highest levels of success. And he really does do that. And he does it really well. So welcome again, Derek.
Thank you. Well, we're out of time, folks. So
No, not so fast. We are thrilled to have you here. And we want to get right into it and kind of ask the most important question right off the bat. As a result of the work you do, as you continue to grow and evolve your work, your wealth, your health, as well as your love and connection, even in the midst of divorce, the death of your son, and other major, major life challenges, you say that you've been able to alchemize it all to become wiser, stronger, and more abundant in every area of our life. Can you tell us how you've managed to do that? Because many people are struggling, with just a fraction of those things.
Yeah. I got the trifecta of opportunities to grow and evolve and to put the principles and practices that I've been living for decades to work. And my first, hope, although the Dalai Lama did say, when they asked, what does he wish for America? He said, I wish for them more suffering. And there's a reason for that. Although I do not wish this upon, even if I had an enemy, I would not wish that, especially the loss of a child and the loss of the love of my life. He really is and was the love of my life. And the experience, the core is everything that I talk about in those books, which is, first of all, who we really are and what we really need to be anchored to is life itself, not life experiences or life forms. And when you begin to understand that the true nature of life and the true nature of us is something that is indestructible, something that is real, meaning it's unchanging. Spiritual doesn't mean crystals and inverted pyramids. It means that is real, that is everlasting and eternal and infinite. And it really is true. Like there's a story of this group back in the bombing of London after the war. And they were trying to go, what's the one thing that cannot be bombed, that cannot be destroyed, that cannot be hungry? And for them, they tapped into the frequency of love, divine love, agape love. And as they began to embody it, they would go around and minister and take care of people. And they were in and out, bombs falling all around them, like literally next door on both sides of where they lived, but their home remained intact. And so that's the first big idea, is that there is something about you and about us that is eternal, that is good, that is perfect, that is whole, that can never be diminished or destroyed, nor never has been. And it also can't be improved upon. And it's not about making it happen. It's about making it welcome. It's not about attracting it. It's about waking up and embodying the relationship with it. And this is what I used to talk about a lot with Emergence and with my story of nearly dying in the coral reef, which we briefly talked about before. And I saw a vision of the self I'd been trying to fix and change and heal. And I realized no matter what I ever did, he would never be enough. But I saw that there was a self around him that was, like I said, had never been hurt and also didn't have to be improved upon. He was perfect. And so from that moment forward, my journey has been to know that self. You know, what are the two great dictums? Know thyself and to thine own self be true. And that's really the core. Know who and what you really are, what you're really made of, what you're really made for. So that's been my journey. And I didn't, you know, I had some challenges through the beginnings of that journey, but it really prepared me to face at first a divorce, where at the end of that marriage, there was a lot of challenges in there, but every challenge was the opportunity for me to realize I wasn't trying to convince or control anything outside of me, but I had to win the argument within myself. Mm-hmm. I had to win the conflict within myself. There was something about me I had to believe and know and love. And as I did that, there was a completion to that relationship. And I moved out of it, but it still was like I might lose my family, my reputation, my home. And for a while, I did lose all of that. And so then I had to find those parts and those qualities again within myself, my health, my wealth, my worth, my work, my whole world, because we don't really live in the world. The world is in us, and relationships are in us. We're not in relationships. So as a result of that, it was a bit of a dark night, having to dig my roots deep into the soil of my soul during that winter period. But on the other side of that, I met Galit, who you mentioned briefly, Deborah, before, the love of my life, and experienced not just a beautiful woman and an amazing person, but I experienced being loved and met and held exactly the way I'd fallen in love with myself. And I was no longer having to argue or convince her of anything. In fact, I could be a total jerk at times. You know, I got to like bring out all the hard parts and the ugly parts and be held in such unconditional love, because it was a manifestation of, we end up training people how to treat us based on how we treat ourselves. And we attract relationships based on our relationship with ourselves. And so I had a great relationship with myself after going through that process. And then she showed up. But not only that, I got my home back and then more. I got family back on a whole new level. I got abundance back. My everything doubled, tripled, and quadrupled, because I was willing to fall back in love with myself, really anchor myself in a place where I did not need to get the approval, the validation, or I didn't need to control the outer world to see me a certain way. And so that was how I got through that. And we can pause if you want to ask any questions, because it's the same principle. And that prepared me for, yet again, the loss of my child. And I do want to make one little caveat. This kind of work, like really growing and awakening spiritually and, you know, in consciousness and developing your true spiritual character, it's not about, if I do all these things, nothing bad will ever happen in my life. It's not about, if I do all these things, there'll never be sickness, there'll never be lack, there'll never be crises. Show me one great master, leader, teacher, healer, where that's not the case. We got crucifixions and assassinations and disease and drama everywhere. The difference is it didn't kill them. Even if it seemed to kill them, it actually released and unleashed more, what I call the heart of gold and the soul of steel. It allowed them to have a soul that was unbendable and unbreakable by the world, and a heart that would never close no matter what occurred. That's power. That's vitality. That's aliveness. That's youthfulness. That's ageless beauty and power, right? So that's what it's really about. If you're trying to do all this stuff to make sure nothing ever happens, you've already set yourself up for some pretty interesting experiences, right? Because it's not going to be the case, right? If the weight is too heavy, we don't pray to make it lighter. We pray to get stronger, and then we do some reps. If we hit that mountain or hit that wall, we don't give up. We learn how to climb, and we climb the wall. We hit that mountain. We become a better mountain climber. We get stronger. We build all kinds of muscle. You ever climbed a mountain? It builds some really interesting muscles. So that's the opportunity here in this earth school, or this world of form and density and changes, is like I was just talking to my friends last night, all the waves of stuff, the grief and the things that I've been going through. And I'm like, I'm doing good. I'm becoming a really good surfer of the waves of consciousness. I'm learning how to hang 10 on these awesome waves that move through consciousness. And so that's what we're here to become, is to become great surfers of life, and having a great resilience and capacity to meet all of life. But ultimately, no matter how we're squeezed, all that comes out of us is love, is compassion, is patience, is generosity and creativity. And that's been my experience throughout all this.
Wow.
My sentiment exactly. It's so interesting because, they say God doesn't give us more than we can handle. And I think that in your case, I remember when I interviewed you 10 years ago, I was talking before we came on the air that I had this interview show, and I interviewed Derek, and he was so brilliant. I never had anybody back, but I kept having Derek back because, and it was, and you were talking about the law of emergence, about how inside the acorn is everything that needs to grow that huge oak, and in our ideas and our desires and everything is there in the seed desire, and everything you said. And you told the story about your near-death experience and diving under the water, scuba or snorkeling, whatever it was, and being caught in the coral, and you were dying, and the miracle of how you got out of that. And I thought, he can tell this story the rest of his life, and the knowledge was so rich. We don't need anything more from Derek except to keep telling that rich story. And yet, I think the Creator saw you as a vehicle, that you were the perfect vehicle to share these even deeper and more profound teachings, especially at this time. So I guess the Creator gave you something that was almost impossible to handle, yet you've not only handled it, but turned it into this incredible teaching for the, 100 millions of people who are suffering right now. So thank you so much for doing that.
Yeah. I mean, it's true. You're definitely pointing to the loss of my child, which, again, it's beyond this world. It's beyond imagination. It's like having your soul pulled out through your heart, one fragment at a time every day. And, a broken heart, really hurts when you get broken up with or something happens. But imagine having your heart shattering every day for years. Mm. And that's been the experience. And sometimes literally in the middle of the street, I'll just be taken to my knees as a wave of grief comes through me, and it's not even in my control. But because of the work and the practice and the mindful ability to honor all of me, to not being resistance to any of me, which is more the shadow work and stuff like that. Just every single part, the neediness, the greediness, the selfishness, the angriness, the sadness, the grief, it's all part of the many colors of our soul. If we just have a misunderstanding of them, we've been conditioned to believe this is good, this is bad, this is good, this is bad. And then that creates what Buddha called craving and aversion. We're always trying to get more of the good and get rid of the bad and hold on to the good and don't let it go. And we're just this ball of tightly wound, string. And then life can't get through us. It's all stuck in this quagmire of this good, this bad, this I should, this I shouldn't, this I can, this I can't, this I am, this I'm not. Don't let it go. Don't get near it. All of that, which is what the whole Garden of Eden metaphor is trying to tell us. We bought into this belief that there's two, and then we've been naming everything ever since, labeling and judging, and then trying to navigate that. So as I've worked to heal a lot of that, so I just don't have a lot of that judgment. It's allowed whatever needs to move through. Oh, there's a forest fire, let it burn. There's deep grief. I can watch and observe and hold Derek as that sobbing and that convulsion of, energy moves through, and then get back up, pick myself up, dust myself off and keep going. And so then the forest fire does its work, like a forest needs a forest fire. Certain species need that heat and that intensity, and we do too. And so, but the key is, again, not just to feel the feelings and then move on, but there's something more that is always trying to emerge. In chaos theory, they say that if you step back far enough from the chaos, there's a larger order. And there's a new word for it, actually. It's called chaotic. And so it's true. There's always a larger order, right? That's always seeking to emerge. And that's what, my practice has always been, more than I want to fix, change, heal, control, manipulate anybody or anything, including myself. I want to know the truth that sets me free. I want to be a channel of divine love and ultimate reality. And so there's a patience that's required. If you really, really want to know the truth about yourself and the truth about life, more than you want to manipulate and control and move deck chairs around on the Titanic, you will become receptive to it. And that's what happened with my son, and I began to have these awarenesses as that container called that relationship was shattered. Rather than losing something, although I lost some things humanly and emotionally and psychologically, it set the love free. It was no longer just contained in that little container, but now the ability to touch and to tap the infinite, unconditional, the love not just of a father and a son, but the love of Father and Son, which is infinite. And I remember having a moment where it was like, it wasn't just Derek, the father, and Jager, his son. It was the Father and the Son. And I'm not speaking necessarily Christian whatever, but it's like, it's real. There's a grand love of mother, of father, of child. There's a grand reality of family, of home, that is not that box you put your bed in and store things in a cupboard. It's a place in consciousness. It's a frequency. And it's just, how if you keep working out and running, you build a runner's heart. So, because the heart breaks down and then gets stronger. So, my heart breaking over and over and over again, as I've been anchored in that greater awareness, it's developing a lover's heart. It's a heart that can meet with any condition and still be able to love and recover to love again and again and again.
So, wow, again. There's so much wisdom, so much profound truth in everything that you're saying. And I can almost hear, the audience as they're listening and saying, wow, followed by, but how do I do that? I am suffering right now, I I'm dealing with the divorce, with the illness, with the loss of a child, with just one of these things. And like
financial setback.
I feel, right, financial setbacks, whatever it is. And I feel broken.
Yeah.
How do I get to where you are, Derek?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's a very long answer, but the first step is, if it resonates with you, with what I'm saying, that there is a dimension of you, that the truth about you is never and can never be broken and diminished, that the truth about you is already whole and complete and beautiful and perfect and has everything it needs, just like the seed idea. The oak is in the acorn, the apple tree is in the apple seed, the butterfly is in that caterpillar, even and especially when it's starting to liquefy and fall apart inside the chrysalis, there's a butterfly emerging. And if you can use those analogies and feel the truth behind this, the first step is to keep reminding yourself that. Because we don't experience life as it is. We experience life through the lens and the perception of our consciousness, right? It really is done unto you as you believe. So the key is, what do I believe? And the key is to keep remembering whenever we listen to a talk like this, and I would listen to this more than once if I was you folks, if you're able, because there's a frequency happening here. It's not just my words. There's actually a frequency. And if you are willing to listen and feel the resonance, and it's going to bring up resistance. Oh yeah, but you don't know my situation, or how, or frustration, or, it's not fair. Why me? All that's going to come up. And as you keep coming back to this resonance, to this truth, okay, yeah, but inside the acorn is the oak. Inside the apple tree is the seed, is the apple. Inside the caterpillar is the butterfly. Inside this that appears like a mere broken shell, there is something amazing. There is something so much more. I feel that, even if it's just a pinprick of light. And then really just contemplate that and ask and sincerely want to know, what is the something more? What is the more of me that's trying to emerge by means of this condition? As I said before, just as many plants and trees need fire, and some plants need really difficult rocky soil, because the struggle to dig their roots into it activates enzymes and allows them to develop the hardiness and the bark that allows them to survive and thrive in certain climates. And the jack pine, the glue on the shell is so hard that only a fire will melt it and open it up and release its new seeds and open up the canopy. So these crises, these challenges, I'm telling you what I know. Lean on the energy of my authority when I say this. Those crises are not happening to you. They are happening for you. And I know that's a cliche, but it's true. And the key is, as much as possible, don't keep reacting and coming from a victim place or blame place. Notice that, but keep asking, keep becoming more interested. I want to know the real truth here, the real message, the real opportunity. Who am I really? What am I really made of and made for? What is this situation trying to cultivate in me? What qualities is it trying to call out of me? Who would I have to become in order to hold this situation with love, peace, and grace? Ask that question. And notice, the first answer would be like, F you. But the second answer might be, huh. And then you'll start to notice. And what thought, habitual thought, would I have to let go of that I'm always thinking, if in order to hold this with grace and peace and generosity? What new thought would I have to embrace? What habits of action might I need to let go of in order to hold this? What new habits might I need to embrace, right? What emotional pattern? Because our emotions are weather patterns. If you notice and look closely enough, you don't just have all these random emotions for no particular reason. They come in cycles. and they're like weather, like, there you can start to see there's a pattern. Some of them are daily, some of them are monthly, some of them are seasonal. And you can start to notice that. And as much as you can notice that it's a pattern of thinking and a pattern of feeling, you can start to get a little space between it and know that, oh, that's just this mental, emotional weather moving through the sky of my mind. But I am not that, because I can observe it. And if you take a little time to do that, you start to get a little space, and that energy starts to alchemize and transmute. So these are some simple practices. They're simple, but they're not always easy. And I believe some of the things I'm going to give away for free today are going to help them to actually do this. But that's the start. Get anchored in the truth. Want to know what's true about you, what's indestructible about you, what is God or life or love made as me or as the situation, what's really here. And you learn to live more from insight than eyesight. You get the Jedi mindset, right? That's why Jesus said, judge not by appearances, but judge righteous judgment. He was saying, having eyes, you can't see what's really here. Having ears, you can't hear what's really here. What's really here is amazing, guys. It's like heaven, but you can't see it because you are judging by the limited senses, which are just projecting your limited perceptions. And now you're experiencing a relative perception and projection of an infinite perfection. And so the more you want to know what's true, what's real, what's amazing about me in my life, what is God or love or life really created, you're becoming more interested in that perfect pattern of inexhaustible and indestructible potential that is always and forever planted in the soil of your soul. And it will, with the right conditions, love, light, attention, patience, it absolutely will emerge. I can tell you firsthand, no matter what. Lose all your money, I gotcha. Lose a loved one, I gotcha. Divorce, I gotcha. Whatever it is, physical challenges, gotcha. You can be thriving and happy and creative and abundant no matter what condition you face.
Wow.
I know.
For the third time.
I know what Natalie's going to say. Wow.
Yes.
And you, and then eventually we're coming full circle now, because one of the things you said at the beginning is eventually you get to that place that cannot be destroyed or improved upon. I've heard it cannot be destroyed, but it can't be improved upon.
Yes. Self-improvement is an oxymoron.
Right.
When you understand the true nature of the self, like the acorn doesn't improve itself into an oak, right? Nothing is improving itself. It looks like that. Even evolution looks like it's all these little random mutations and mistakes. And it's like, oops, okay, this is good. It's not what's happening. Evolution is the process of the unfoldment of that which was already enfolded. There's a divine pattern or idea, just like in every seed. And when the conditions are congruent for that seed, it emerges. And the difference between us versus nature is indigenous, meaning those seeds require specific outer conditions. And so nature is doing all these crazy things, weather and storms and fires, to create the conditions. Animals grabbing stuff and then pooping on other stuff, and squirrels becoming the farmers of the forest, planting acorns everywhere and forgetting where 90% of them are so that they grow into trees. So there's all these things in nature happening, but we are not indigenous. We are endogenous, meaning we carry our weather with us. We are a walking greenhouse. We have the capacity to create the conditions to shine our light. We are self-effulgent. So no matter how dark it is outside, or even how dark it feels inside, emotionally, mentally, we can turn on the light and begin to shine it. No matter how many clouds are in the sky, or what side of the tracks we're born on, or whether we're in a barren desert with no fertility, we can fertilize our heart and our soul. It's all there. And that's true physically. There's a whole pharmacy in us to turn on any chemical that's needed. I know you know this. And there's a whole there's a pharmacy in us, there's a greenhouse in us, there's food, fertilizer, the manna that falls from heaven, the meat and the wine and the water and the bread the world knows not of, it's all there. But we've been so conditioned since we were a little kid, giving us a rattle every time we got upset, or putting something above our crib so we would, God forbid, we would look within. And we just got conditioned to believe everything is out there and it's pretty much nothing. It's a hot mess in here. And so, like the funny joke about the guy that's searching for something outside, and the neighbor says, it's in the dark. It's like, what are you looking for? I lost my key. Oh, okay. And he's looking under the street lamps and in the dark, and looks. Finally, the neighbor's like, an hour later, where'd you lose it? It's like, oh, I lost it inside, but the light's so much better out here. Right. So it's all here. We just haven't been conditioned. It's difficult to be alone with ourselves if you haven't done it. It's difficult to look within. It's difficult to be quiet and silent and do the digging, dig the well inside of us, so we never have to be reliant on the world to quench our thirst. It takes something, right? But it starts with the desire and the intention, and sincerely. You don't have to know how exactly, but the sincere commitment. More than I want to fix, change, control, or manipulate anything, I want to know the truth that makes me free. I want to be free. I want to be home. I want to be at peace. More than anything, I want to know the truth about me and about life that frees me, so I can be at peace and I can be free to be who I really am. If you just keep praying that and intending that, you'll start to create the conditions, and the reticular activating system will start to guide you to the insights, the ideas, or whatever, to actually awaken to that. And then, because where your attention goes, the energy flows, as you start to realize, oh my God, I'm kind of cool. Oh my God, I'm pretty amazing. Oh my God, I'm unlimited. There's infinite eternal life in me. I'm ageless beauty and power and wisdom. Like, you start to have this awareness. Well, that must begin to manifest as the youthing of your body, as the renewal and resurrection of your bank account, as new opportunity, new relationship, as people starting to treat you differently because you're treating yourself differently, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
Amazing.
Oh, go ahead, Natalie. I know he has a free gift, so
Yes,
we want it.
we absolutely want this free gift. And yeah, so tell us about it. Your Master Your Manifestation Now.
What's the free gift? What is it called?
Master Your Manifestation Now. I know, right? You have so many free gifts to offer. Which one is
it
this?
the character of success package and all that? Is that part of what it is?
Well, it says that we're going to learn everything we need to bring ourselves into alignment with our soul's signature vibration, and tuning into our guidance, direction, wisdom, power we need to create the life.
Yes, that's what it is. There's a thing, it might be the self-mastery package. And so, yeah, it's basically giving you the tools to do what I was just talking about, to be able to tap into this perfect pattern, to begin to create a practice and design your life in a way that you can actually come more and more into alignment. And ultimately, again, it's about creating the conditions that are congruent, that allow you to be in integrity with yourself, right? There's nothing about getting the world back into integrity. Just like if you had a radio and your favorite music is already playing right now, but it's not manifest, right? But if you tune the dial to the station where your music is, suddenly the music is manifest. You now have a manifest station, right? And so it's a manifestation. Well, where was the music before? It was always playing right where you are. You just had to come into alignment with that frequency. And that's the truth with this work that we'll be doing and that I'm inviting you into, is how to tune in to the truth of what you already are, to that song of celebration, that rhythm of joy, that beat of abundance, to get in tune with it and build a habit around that. Because that it's like a preset on the dial. Because a habit, As Confucius said, all men, and he would have said women, all men and women are alike. It is their habits that separate them. And we're mostly manifesting our habit, mental, emotional, physical, energetic habits. Habits create our character, and our character is what determines our destiny. Our character, not our conditions. The quality of our character, which is made of our habits, which is made up of what we have been focused on consistently, which is made up of what we've committed to, which is made up of our vision or our values. And so getting those in alignment, you build this character and this creative machinery so that you start to put your growth and your healing and your manifestation on autopilot. And that's what I'm going to help them do.
Well, whatever it's called, we want it.
Yeah, absolutely. We really want it. Now I know why Deborah had you back so many times. I'm so inspired and ready to ask the questions, actually. So thank you again, Derek,
You're welcome.
so much for being here and sharing all this amazing, hard-won wisdom. And thank you, everybody who's joined us today. We really hoped you loved this interview as much as we did. Now, make sure you take advantage of the All Access Pass so you can get this interview and all the other interviews for your own personal library. This one for sure, I know, is one you're going to want to watch and rewatch or listen and re-listen. I know I will. And in our deep dive, Derek's going to share with us even more how to build your life, reality, and identity spiritually as the foundation of your experience, whether versus what you're conditioned to do. And I know you have a great process for us to really help us embody this. So I can't wait for the deep dive.
I actually want to add one more thing, and that is that with the All Access Pass, you'll receive not only all of the interviews you're hearing on this global event and the follow-up deep dive interviews with all of our guests, including Derek, but you'll also get the audio recording so you can listen while you're driving, while you're developing that runner's heart, or whatever you're doing. You can be plugged in and listen to these great speakers, and they're yours. So you can listen to one a week. I mean, Derek's, I just want to listen to this over and over and over till I embody it. Even though I was taking a lot of notes, I wasn't multitasking. I was like taking pages of notes while you were talking. You too, right?
Yeah.
So again, and also you even get the written transcripts with the All Access Pass. So Derek, thank you again. This has just been extraordinary.
You're welcome. It's been my honor and pleasure to be here. I told you, you asked me a question, I could talk for 20 minutes.
We could have let you talk for hours, but we do have the deep dive. So
Absolutely.
Stay tuned, everyone, and we'll see you on the next interview.
Much love, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.